All right, all right. Good day. Hopefully you're excited. Welcome to day 2 of 3, where we're unveiling the Shelf to Success framework. And really, the goal here is to unlock the hidden power of your book. Okay, so if you attended day 1, welcome back to day 2 for the second part of our 3-part series here. And if you have any questions from the first day, and I'm going to do a quick little recap of our conversation yesterday. But I think the way I've kind of restructured day 2 here, if you didn't get a chance to watch day 1, don't worry about it because I'm going to cover really quickly parts of day 1 and tie that together into day 2 here. Right. Again, the goal here is really to kind of unlock that hidden power of your book. So if you can hear me, if you can see me, go ahead and leave a comment below. Let me check in on my team while we give another minute here for others to hop on day 2 here. So let's see what we got. All right, awesome, cool. So if you can hear me, if first question here as we wait for others to hop on. I guess one, where are you watching this from? Let's do that. Let's keep it simple. If you're here, awesome, you can hear me. If you're here attending live, just go ahead and engage. Let's make this a conversation. And go ahead and let me know where you're calling from. I'm actually, or watching from, I should say. I'm actually in Massachusetts. I'm about an hour away from Boston. Okay. So if you're watching, if you tuned in, go ahead and if you're watching the recap of this, go ahead and engage as well. So let's dive in with 2 minutes in. Want to be respectful. Yeah, want to be respectful of everyone's time. Get to the kind of like the meat of it all. So let's dive into the presentation for today. All right. So just like yesterday, if you've kind of Georgia, also cool. So we have someone dialing in from Georgia. I have 3 siblings who live in Georgia. Don't ask me where. I have 3 siblings that live in Georgia. So awesome. Thank you for dialing in or watching it. Okay. So let's just like yesterday, right? And if any of our presentations that we're going to be doing, over the next couple of weeks, months here, you've kind of dedicated the time. If you're watching this live right now, set aside you set aside that time. So let's go ahead and kind of kill the noise, right? Let's put your phone in do not disturb mode. Kind of find a quiet place to kind of tune in for the next 20 minutes as we answer and dive in deep into this question, right? Kind of like the elephant in the room. This is what we're talking about over the course of this series is, answering this question: is your book dead? Right? Is your book dead? Well, that's a question that you've been asking out loud, or a question that, kind of in the privacy, the comfort of your own mind, you've been wondering yourself. And we're gonna dive into and answer that question. And actually, if you did tune in yesterday, you saw that we kind of started to start answering that question. So all right. So yesterday we talked about there are 3 objectives of, 5 objectives. Sorry, 5 objectives of the Shelf to Success framework, and we talked about one of these objectives, the first objective. And as I'm going through these objectives, right, and the solutions to and how we accomplish each one of these, go ahead and comment and let me know which of these objectives and which of these solutions resonate the most for you, or you've been struggling with the most when it comes to your book. And I should do a quick recap. Okay, if you're watching this, right, we're speaking to authors who have an evergreen book. Okay, which means your book is as valuable today as it was when you first initially wrote it, published it, promoted it. Okay. That's who we're talking to today. Okay. If you feel like your book can still make an impact, and let me just turn off slides. If you feel like your book can still make an impact, can still change and save lives, right? But yet you're struggling. We looked at the timeline of a book, right? and maybe it's a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, and you know your book has tremendous value, evergreen value, but you're struggling to get it into more hands so that you can make that impact, right? So that you can achieve the vision that you had during the process of writing your book, right? Whatever that vision is, right? And for some reason you haven't been able to get there. Well, the Shelf to Success framework and this series is specifically for you. Okay. So let's dive into the first objective. Objective number one is, and we covered yesterday, which is leveraging your book as the key to double, triple, or quadruple your email list. Okay. And what we were talking about there and why that's important is and we covered yesterday is that you want to build your audience, you want to build your tribe, you want to build, start to develop your email list, grow your email list so that when you publish your next book or you come out with programs, courses, offers, you've already started to build that audience. Okay. So, for example, to kind of show some actual examples, here's one of our clients. This is a client who had a book that was about, I think, 3 or 4 years old when we built out his framework, the Shelf to Success framework for him. And I want to focus your attention here to this highlighted area in the yellow. And you can, this is basically the email list growth. Okay. As you can see here, and we looked at Dr. Margaret yesterday, this client here, you can see through what we developed for him, through this framework we developed for him, he was able to grow his email list by 8,308 individuals. That's a 46, almost 47% conversion rate. Meaning out of these 17,809 individuals that we drove, right, that's traffic that we were able to grab their attention. These are potentially his ideal customers, his ideal buyers, his ideal readers. And out of those 17,809, 8,308 of them took action, which is 46, 47%, which is ultimately we're able to get onto his email list. Okay. This is basically the first step towards starting to build your tribe, right? Towards starting to have access to your tribe, access to your readers, access to individuals who are interested in what you have to offer. Okay. And that's the very first step, and ultimately really the first goal, and the most important goal of the Shelf to Success framework is starting to build your audience. Okay. Then objective number two, and let me know if you have any questions on this first objectives as I go through each one of these. Like I mentioned, if any of these if you've been struggling with any of these objectives, go ahead and kind of like raise your hand, ask any questions, let me know. If I guess let's put a number one, right? If you've been struggling with this first objective, go ahead and put a number one. That way I know that's one of your challenges. Okay. Objective number two, again, we covered yesterday, is selling more copies of your book. Okay. Selling more copies of your book. And in the process, achieving objective number three, which is breaking even. To kind of tie that together with objective number one, this 17,809 down here that we were able to drive this traffic, and I say traffic, I mean basically prospects, potential customers. This 17,809 we were able to drive here, get them to come to this page, this first step of the framework, by paying for ads, by using social media ads. Majority of this was through paid media. Okay, so there's a cost to driving these 17,809. From there, so what we want to do on this second objective, by selling more copies of your book, we also want to break even. Okay, so in oh, Yeah, so basically the goal here is zero cost marketing domination, and how we're able to accomplish this. And you can see here with this client, we were able to sell. Again, I want to kind of point out, highlight this section here. You can see 2,771 copies of his book was sold. So that's a 15, almost 16% conversion rate, generating $34,767 in sales. Okay. This is how we're able to break even. Sell more copies of the book, which is objective number two. Sell more copies of his book. We were able to sell almost 3,000 more copies of his book while at the same time breaking even, which means that these 8,308 individuals who got added to his email list was practically, because we were able to break even, we were able to grow this email list practically for free. Okay. Hopefully, how much did his book cost? So in his case, it was $35. It was $35. Great question. So the question here is, how much did his book cost? This was a hard-covered book. So very, very thick hardcover book that was, obviously there's a lot of shipping costs and everything like that. And we, through this funnel, we had the book set at $35. Okay, great question. Okay, any other questions with regards to objective number two or objective number three, objective two or three, or objective one? So if you've been struggling with either objective one, growing your audience, objective two, selling more copies of your book, and objective three, breaking even while doing objective one and objective two, go ahead and kind of, type that in: one, two, or three. And I guess another question is, have you even considered the possibility of being able to break even while growing your email list? Have that concept, uh, have that concept ever crossed your mind, or have you ever even seen that or heard of that concept before? So go ahead and chime in. And I know we're getting into a little bit, as we go through, and let me go ahead and switch over here. So as we go through this series, each day gets a little bit more. We get deeper into how the framework works, right? So the first day is kind of like high level. Then second level, we kind of go one level. Second day, we kind of go one level down. Third day, tomorrow, we're going to really get into the projections, the framework, the blueprint, kind of like the full breakdown of the Shelf to Success framework. So we get a little bit more techie in the third day, but that's why we broke it up into 3 days, to kind of, so that each day kind of builds upon each other. So if you didn't watch day one, still highly recommend it. But as you can see in day two, I'm kind of talking about tying in day one's conversation, the objectives, and then how we accomplish that, and showing you some actual examples of how we've accomplished that using the Shelf to Success framework in today, here in day two. And then day three, we're going to go even further. Okay. All right. So cool. Let's go. Let's continue. We have a couple more objectives to go cover here today. So objective number four, which is the front end. Now, if we if from objective one, we grew your email list. That's the most important component of the Shelter Success framework, is to grow your email list. The second is to sell more copies of your book. And then the third is to break even while we're doing that. Because if you're breaking even while accomplishing objective one and two, then I guess the question to you is like, um, what do you do next? Right. So if you're growing your email list and you're selling more copies of your book, so you're spending ad budget, you have an ad budget, and you're using that ad budget to grow your email list and sell more copies of your book, while at the same time breaking even on what you spent on ads. So if you spent $40 a day on ads, at the end of the day, you're making $40 back. Then ultimately, what do you do from that point? Right? That's a question for everyone. Okay, I'm actually not going to answer that question. I'm going to wait to hear from you. So I'll answer it tomorrow on day three. But let's go ahead and see who gets the right answer for. And there is a right answer for this question. So let's go ahead and see who gets the right answer. But ultimately, uh, kind of going into objective number four here, if we accomplish those first three objectives, now you've essentially gotten the person individual on your email list, and they've become a customer because they've had to whip out their wallet, their credit card, in order to get your book, which allows us to kind of break even in the process, right? So then what happens next? This is where objective number four comes in. Objective four is basically and this is on the front end aspect of the framework. So objective four is, you want to maximize the revenue through the funnel, right? Through the framework, which is basically presenting them with your courses, your programs, your services. In the case of the client that we're looking at today, the example, the case study we're looking at today, it's actually supplements. So after these individuals um, got on his email list, purchased his book, they then were presented with some supplements. Okay, because the book was related to health, nutrition, all that kind of stuff. So then on kind of like the next step in the funnel was to present them with some supplements, which you can see right here. And let me remove this question off the screen. Okay, so here's the next step. So as you can see here, um, this is basically OTO1. OTO is basically a digital marketing terminology, meaning one-time offer. Okay, so again, after these individuals have taken these desired steps, right? We know that they joined your list. We know that they pulled out their wallet to purchase the book. They are most likely your ideal customer, your ideal avatar. So at that point, we're going to present them with another offer, which is the one time offer, OTO, or sometimes the term upsell is used. Okay. In this case, with this client, you can see we presented them with the supplement, and we were able to get 259 sales of this supplement, converting at almost a 10% conversion rate. Okay. This is opportunity to now start to generate more revenue, because if the revenue from the book sale helps you to break even, then anything else, any additional sales that happen directly on the front end through this framework, through this funnel, is basically you profit. Okay. So that is, and then you can see, then we present them with another opportunity, which is OTO number two, which in this case was additional supplements as well, which is like a bundle pack. And you see that we were able to sell 69, we were able to have 69 sales of that bundle pack at a 11% conversion rate. So the first OTO, one time offer, OTO, generated an additional $12,000 in sales. The second OTO generated almost additional $9,000 in sales for this client. Okay, this is the power. This is hopefully you're starting to see this in terms of like how not only can you leverage your book, whether it's a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. And let me get it on the screen here. Not only leveraging your book, regardless of how old it is, as long as it's an evergreen book, not only can you leverage it to grow your list, start to build your audience, build your tribe, sell more copies of your book, but also start to sell your courses, your programs, your services, in this case, supplements, right? That you know that your ideal customer would be interested in. Okay. That's the power of this Shelf to Success framework. So going back into the slides here. So okay, so objective number five, we're going to cover more tomorrow, but basically objective number five, now they've completed everything. They've gone through the framework, they've made all the possible purchases through the funnel. And now you're still on your email list. And objective number five happens on the back end. And that can be a week later, a month later, 2 months later, a year later. It really happens on the back end. And we're going to really dive into objective number 5 on tomorrow's session, which is session number 3. All right. So we're at 20 minutes, right on time. So any questions from today's session? Let me pop up the last question here. Have you considered the possibility of breaking even while growing your email list? So that was a question I asked earlier. But any questions on session 2 here? Just to kind of recap, we talked about um, how you could leverage the Shelf to Success framework to, if you have an evergreen book, and again, evergreen is a book that is as valuable today as it was when you first wrote it, published it, promoted it, and how you can leverage that book, whether it's a year to 5 to 6, 7 years old, as long as it's evergreen, to grow your email list, sell more copies of your book, break even in the process, meaning anything that you're spending to promote that book, you're breaking even, you're recouping that cost, and then sell some more of your courses, products, services, right? Directly through the Shelf to Success framework. And then tomorrow, we're going to talk about how you can continue to make more sales indirectly out after they've completely gone through the Shelf to Success framework. Okay. So, any questions on any of that? Which of these objectives have you been struggling with? If you're watching this on the recap or the replay, go ahead and chime in. Let me know which of these objectives you've been struggling with, or answer any of the questions that we discussed and we talked about throughout today's session. Okay. Hopefully, again, this is resonating and kind of opening your eyes to what's possible, right? Because I know with working with the authors that we've worked with, the amount of blood, sweat, and tears, the devotion that you put into not only writing your book, but doing all the marketing, whether it was podcasts, whether it was paid media, whether it's, whatever PR, you put a lot of energy, effort towards this book, and and more importantly, that it is still valuable, and it can still bring value in and change and impact lives, right? And you've been struggling to figure out how to get that out there, how to continue to promote your book, um, even after it's gone through that life cycle, right? And that's really what these sessions are. This lunch and learn sessions are about, is showing you a path to be able to um, grow your list, sell more copies of your book while being profitable, right? Bringing more income, more revenue into your business so that you could continue to scale your business. Okay. All right, I'm gonna jump off now. Hopefully, this was extremely valuable to you. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you on tomorrow's session, where we're gonna be diving into objective number 5, as well as looking at the actual framework. So, if you've been patiently waiting to see the actual framework, the actual blueprint of the Shelf to Success framework, looking at the projections, looking at the numbers, and we're gonna go into the details about these projections and the numbers, so that you could start to plug in your own numbers, and you can start to do the math to see like what's possible if we were able to plug your book into the Shelf to Success framework. So we'll go into all of those numbers tomorrow. So definitely tune in. We'll be back for part 3 tomorrow. Make sure you register and join us here at noon Eastern time here on LinkedIn. All right. Talk to you then.